Hey everybody, it's another episode of Midas Letter RAW.
What day is it?
Hump Day.
Thursday.
Thursday. Does that mean you had drinks for lunch, Ed? I had a glass of wine with lunch.
I only had 2 beers.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't drink for 5 days, and then you pulled me off the wagon last
I pulled
night.
you off the wagon. You're going to blame me.
Yeah, I am.
Why?
Because.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
You bought a good bottle of wine, and when you buy a good bottle of wine, you're tempting me.
Oh, I see. So it's your own inability to control your urges.
If you'd have bought shit wine, I probably still would have drank
Why
it.
would I be buying shit? There we go.
The truth comes out.
Well,
okay.
Even if it's rice cooking wine, I'll drink it.
Hey, look at this Cronos, over 18.
Yeah.
And that's one of the deals that group out of the U.S., remember they were talking about shorting?
The Hindenburg?
No, not that Hindenburg, the other one.
Citron.
Citron.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, Citron's lost all credibility when it comes to shorting, though.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you something.
What?
Shorting is very, very...
thrilling.
It only works when it works.
Boy.
When it doesn't work...
Boy, that's profound. When it works, but when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what you need to short? You need a good broker who doesn't mind bending the rules.
Well, you know what? I'm telling you, and they're out there. Because they can do things...
How do you think all these short things go on? Just ask the old Cap Anson little team there.
But yeah.
Anyways, Ed, we have one hell of a show today. Let's not be sniping at our short people.
Okay.
Short people got to do something too.
Everybody's got to do what they got to do, right?
Short people got nobody. I think they were talking about shorters there. Anyways, today, 3:05 as usual, the nurse. The nurse of news, Ricky Gerwitz, is going to be here to read you the daily selection of news items.
Jesus.
Brent Charleton is going to be here at 3:15 he's the CEO of EnWave. EnWave is a company that provides drying technology to cannabis. And then returning for, I think this will be time number 3 for Alfred Wong, CEO of Micron Waste, who makes the, I can't believe I forgot. I got to look this up.
Makes the
3:45. The young Conor Shaw is going to be here to titillate and
expound,
edify the audience on another Brexit update. And then at 3:50, Koby Smutylo is going to be here, and he is the CEO of Indiva, the Chief Operating Officer of Indiva, not the CEO, and he's going to talk about how the lottery has left a lot of the corporates who were preparing for stores in Ontario who didn't win the lottery.
Yeah, they're little
sour grapes.
They feel like
sour
sort
diesel.
Of a jilted
lovers. Sour diesel.
Smutylo, by the way, that name is the name of a very famous artist.
Really?
Smutylo, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just saying.
And then at 4:10, Penny Green is going to be here. She's with the Yield Growth Corp, and she's going to talk about her company. So that's quite a shoe we got here, a really big shoe. And let's see what's going on in the marketplace. I haven't even had time to look at the market today. I've been crazy meetings all day.
I want you to remind me every day to put up the chart of the S&P.
Okay, Ed, don't forget to put up a chart of the S&P.
Thank you.
No problem. Where is it?
It's up today. I said yesterday I thought that candle looked like a topping candle.
Yes.
And I was wrong.
Wrong again.
Wrong again. But look
wrong.
But I just want to draw this line here. If we can get by. Oh, it's up. It's up. Watch this. There's definitely a level here.
Yes.
Somewhere. It's not.
That's not the S&P 500, is it?
Yeah.
It looks like, if I was a betting man, I'd say it looked like somebody had a handle in their hand and they were winding the market up consistently.
Well, look at since we were down at that reaction low. We've had a major candle, green, green, red, green, green. The phone goes green, green. I pink it up and say yellow. Anyway.
Whoa.
So look at this.
Did you hear the CEO of Morgan Stanley came out this morning and said that the exuberance in markets in Q1 is a result of good housekeeping?
That sounds like a crock of shit to me.
I know. It sounds like he didn't really have any idea why markets are up, and he's like, what am I going to say? I'll just say good housekeeping.
I think if we can say one thing, we can say if you're extremely overbought, there's going to be a correction. If you're extremely oversold, there's going to be a correction.
Well, that goes back to Bob Farrell's, one of his 10 rules of investing, is that markets tend to always revert to the mean.
There you go. So, okay, so very good of you to sum it up so succinctly.
Boy, our wordsmithery is taking on a whole new...
we both drank today, so we're in tune again.
Yeah. Anyways, let's let Ricky tell us about the events of the day, pushing our markets hither and thither.
Thanks, James, and here are the headlines moving markets today. Aurora Cannabis has announced a private offering of $250 million of convertible senior notes due in 2024. Aurora also intends to grant initial purchasers of the notes an option to buy up to an additional $37.5 million aggregate principal amount of notes. The company expects to use the net proceeds from the offering to support its Canadian and international expansion initiatives for future acquisitions and for general corporate purposes. Micron Waste Technologies Inc. has been awarded a U.S. patent for its commercial biological waste treatment formulation. The patent recognizes and protects Micron's biotechnology effluent treatment process to purify wastewater for government-compliant discharge or reuse. And their CEO, Alfred Wong, will be joining James shortly on the show. MediPharm Labs Corp. has signed 3 cannabis oil sales agreements, subsequent to the company's receipt of its sales license from Health Canada on November 9, 2018. The first large shipments of cannabis oil supply left the company's dock in December 2018 and were aggregately valued at over $10 million. Canopy Rivers Inc. has announced that Narbe Alexandrian has been appointed as president of the company effective immediately. In this role, Narbe will lead the company's corporate development initiatives as well as manage the day-to-day business. He'll report directly to Bruce Linton, Chief Executive Officer. Prior to joining Canopy Rivers, Narbe was a venture capitalist at Omer's Ventures, and before that, he was a senior strategy manager for TELUS's Internet of Things group. MedMen Enterprises Inc. announced today the unaudited system-wide revenue for its fiscal 2019 second quarter, ending on December 29, 2018. System-wide revenue was $29.9 million, representing 40% quarter-over-quarter increase over its fiscal 2019 first quarter. The company is expected to post its fiscal 2019 second quarter results in February. Cannabis Growth Opportunity Corporation announced today the company has made an investment in Toker LLC, creators of application software that modernizes the cannabis industry by connecting the new cannabis with lifestyle brands. Toker is a new platform that creates a personalized cannabis experience for each user based off their individual preferences. CGOC invests $350,000 for 292,986 shares in Toker. The company plans to use the funds for general business purposes. HEXO Corp announced that its common shares have been approved for listing on the NYSE and will commence trading effective at the open of markets on January 23, 2019. HEXO's shares will trade under the ticker symbol HEXO, the same symbol the company's common shares currently trade under and will continue to trade on the TSX. Lit Cannabis Corp announced that its wholly owned subsidiary, Full Spectrum Medicinals, has secured the exclusive rights to the S5 Agrotechnology Suite proprietary technology. The company will use this technology in its cultivation facilities in Canada. The acquisition gives exclusive rights to the company's quick response holographic labeling system, AgroView, AgroWave Tech, and AgroArray. This technology is designed to increase organic plant health, vibrancy, yield production, and enable efficient propagation of target seeds and strains. Cannabis Global Inc. announced that they have partnered with PEI Cannabis to supply adult-use cannabis throughout the province. Cannabis will sell under their premium Namaste brand. Namaste's products include dried flower, milled cannabis, and pre-rolls. Cannabis expects to start supplying PEI with adult-use cannabis in February 2019 to help meet recreational adult-use distribution needs. And that's your news for today.
Zenabis and Namaste. Now there's an interesting tie-up. Zenabis and Namaste.
Which ones?
Zenabis and Namaste. So Namaste is basically the online market for all things cannabis.
Right.
And Zenabis is a recent comer to the whole mix. And so, yeah, anyways, amazing. Okay, Ed, now, like, have you heard of any Canadians getting caught up in a scandal to do with, you know, the Olympics?
Yep.
You have?
Yep.
Really? I don't know anything about that.
I know there's one guy.
Really? Don't spoil it.
Bit of a fun guy.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I know who it is too.
I got a story to tell you.
Actually, everybody knows. I just realized who it was, and oh boy, that's a good one. That's.
And I got to tell you, I got to tell you a story about.
Okay, we're not going to give it away.
Okay,
you know what?
I'll tell you the story later.
Let's let the camera do the talking.
Let me tell you the story later.
Okay, you tell me that.
All right, time to test your IQ. We all know that drugs and sport don't really mix, and not just the performance-enhancing kind. So when snowboarding and cannabis hit the headlines, that caused quite an uproar. So here's the question for today. What was the name of the Canadian athlete who had his gold medal in snowboarding stripped at the 1998 Nagano Olympics when a blood test revealed THC in his blood system? Was it Ross Rebliati, Eric Bedard, Kevin Overland, or Paul Savage? We'll have the answer to this question coming up later in the show.
We'll have the answer to that right after this section here, where I've got Brent Charleton joining me again. He's the CEO of EnWave Corporation, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol ENW. Brent, welcome back.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, Brent, so give us an update. What has changed for EnWave Corporation since we last chatted?
Since we last chatted, we were successful in securing an additional sub-license to access our technology for drying cannabis with the Green Organic Dutchman. So they purchased a 60 kilowatt continuous line, which should be in operation by midpoint calendar year. This is our second license for our technology. And I really look at it as being sort of the second domino pushed over, hopefully for more dominoes to fall this fiscal year for us.
Okay, so now you're going to have industry data, performance data, and that should trigger some more sales.
Correct, yeah. So our collaboration with Tilray, which was the first license that we had signed, they've collected apt quantitative data to share with the likes of TGOD and other prospects, hoping to convert them into users of our technology. The upside for Tilray is that they hold the master license, and there's a non-disclosed share of royalties generated through the production and use of our radiant energy vacuum technology.
Radiant energy vacuum technology. So take a layperson through the technology.
Hit you with the acronym there.
No, I love
it. It's vacuum microwave. So essentially, you apply a vacuum, lower the atmospheric pressure, therefore you lower the boiling point of water, and then you excite the water molecules through the introduction of microwave energy, which is very efficient at evenly or volumetrically removing moisture. This is important because for combustible product, obviously you want a higher moisture content than dried cannabis material that's going to be used for extraction purposes. So that allows the user of our tech to be precise in their drying and do it in less than 40 minutes. Yeah.
Does the process of drying using this vacuum microwave technology, does it have any negative effect on the flavor of the cannabis when you smoke it?
The terpene levels?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's loss in terpenes for any drying method.
Okay.
And when compared to the longer time period air drying rooms, there is a slight reduction in terpene being removed through the vapor that goes through our condensation systems. But we've created a solution for that, a terpene capture mechanism, which is going to take that fluid, a combination of the water and terpenes, which then can be separated and prospectively, as long as Health Canada approves this, added back into the original material.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So does Tilray dry all of their cannabis using your system?
They do not currently, as they have the machines on order. The first will go into their Enniskillen facility, would be sometime in March, April of this year. And the second line that Tilray has purchased will go to their Portuguese facility this summer. The TGOD machine will be installed by June, July of this year. So we have yet to have a commercially operating plant producing finished product.
Okay.
And obviously we're looking forward to that happening.
Sure. How does the ability to dry cannabis more quickly affect the economics for a licensed producer?
So there's a couple value proposition points through using our technology. First is reduced footprint. So they can allocate more footprint for growing, which is advantageous. Second is because of the quickness of the drying process, being 40 minutes or less. they avoid the opportunity for blight and mold to take hold in certain crops that after being harvested, which again will avoid those large, costly write-offs potentially. So those two value propositions, plus what I mentioned to you in terms of controlling that end moisture in the final product, are all important factors in creating significant value for the users, Tilray and TGOD, and hopefully more to come, and justify paying the royalty back to EnWave on a per gram basis of, call it 1 or 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's interesting. So then you said that the drying time using the machine is 40 minutes?
Correct.
What is the drying time if they were just to hang it and let it dry naturally?
The data that we've been given by our partners is between 4 and 6 days typically it will take them.
Right. That's really speeding things up dramatically.
It is. Our technology is a slam dunk for extracts, definitely. For, as you mentioned, the combustible product, that is still, I would say, in the evolutionary process, ensuring that we can still retain a level of terpene which is attractive to the user, right? I
see. So the primary use of the machine until you introduce this terpene recapture technology is going to be for extracts.
I believe so. I mean, we've gotten feedback for a few smoking panels, and it's been positive. But from a scientist's perspective, if they see terpene reduction occurring, then that's
smoking panels who are testing the marijuana.
Yeah, well, that's what happens.
Well,
Not me.
No, well, we're about to start a smoking panel here every week.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, well, in fact, I ordered 7 different packages of premium dried cannabis from the Ontario Cannabis Store for our inaugural segment on. We're going to sample 7 brands of cannabis in a small panel and decide which one we like the best, which one has the best flavors. But we also have a machine that measures the CBD and terpene content and THC content. So what is the cost to, I mean, you say there's 1 or 2 cents per gram royalty.
Yep.
What is the additional CapEx cost to any company that wants to adopt the technology?
Sure, there's 2 primary scales of machinery. A 60 kilowatt machine, which means nothing to the layman, it will do about 20 metric tons of finished product per year, running an 8-hour shift 5 days a week, 220 days a year. Obviously you run double shift, simple math times 2. The next scale up is a 120 kilowatt unit, which simplistic will be 40 metric tons, right? And if you run 2 shifts, 80 metric tons. So when we're looking at production facilities currently, such as Tilray's in Enniskillen, 160 kilowatt will satisfy their current projected production.
Right.
And the cost is $1 million for USD for the 60 kilowatt and about $1.6 million for the 120 kilowatt.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And of that cost, how much is margin for EnWave? Or is that something you don't want to disclose?
Well, I won't disclose it here. I certainly look at our financial statements, but it's modest, being that the primary goal of EnWave is to build out a diversified royalty portfolio and build that to the point where the royalties cover all the overheads for our company and the excess fall to the bottom line and can be dispersed as dividends into the future to our shareholders. Okay,
This is not EnWave's sole business.
It's not. This is a market opportunity that we've seized.
Right.
We were primarily focused in the food space, consumer packaged goods, food ingredients, at the beginning of the commercialization of this technology about 4 years ago, and have had good success. We have, call it 22 commercial royalty-bearing licenses with food manufacturers, 1 deal with Merck Pharmaceutical to drive vaccinations, and 2 now in the cannabis space. Having said that, understanding the need and interest in our technology, 2019, I believe that up to 75 to 80% of our machine sales are likely to be in either the marijuana or in the industrial hemp vertical.
Yeah, sure. So what competing technologies are there out there, and how do they stack up in terms of CapEx, OpEx, energy consumption, et cetera?
Okay, so standard incumbents would be freeze dry and air dry. In the cannabis space specifically, I understand there's a technology out of Germany, harder air dryers, which reincorporate some of the vapor that's taken out to try and maximize terpene retention. I understand they're also limited by scale to a certain extent and have trouble going down to very low moisture content for extract purposes. So I would consider them to be a competitor in the space. Also, the standard method of cutting and hanging and letting it cure is certainly competition to our alternative. So I do envision that those who do adopt our technology will have a focus on growing their extract business into the future. So we provide them with that solution.
Interesting. I just took delivery of a 4-pod hydroponic system because I'm determined to grow my own cannabis at home, just because I can.
Yeah, why not?
And so, is there like a home scale model of your technology that we can use?
Unfortunately not. It is simple enough to use as an operator, where you don't need a rocket scientist degree, but it's certainly not a toaster. You can't just press the button and get your dried cannabis at the end of it. There needs to be a certain level of know-how.
Wow, interesting. So at this point, if we look at the global expansion of the cannabis industry, it sounds like there's a huge market opportunity for you. Have you been able to put some numbers around what the global market opportunity looks like going out, say, 2 years from now?
Right. Well, I'm probably reading the same reports as you. You know, BMO put out one in terms of global market size for the U.S. prospectively into Australasia, Europe, and South America. It's a large market to address. I don't believe that our technology is going to meet the needs of every single manufacturer of cannabis, as they may prefer to focus mainly on the smokable product and a certain level of terpene retention. But again, like I said, we offer a tangible processing technology for those that are going to focus on extracts, and we hope to address it internationally, so long as the legal environment is conducive for deployment of our machines. In the U.S., as you know, the Farm Bill passed late last year, taking industrial hemp off that list of prohibited substances. So we've now opened up conversations with certain producers of industrial hemp in California, Nevada, and whatnot, and that may be the first entry point for us, being that we need to transfer the royalties from wherever they're being generated back to our Canadian entity at some point in time.
Well, sounds great, Brent. Sounds like the progress is really impressive. We're going to leave it there for now. We'll come back to you again soon and hear how more of these machines are making their way into the space. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks, James.
And now the answer to our trivia question, which is, which Olympic scandal put a Canadian in the headlines?
Earlier in the show, we asked you a question about the Olympics. Which Canadian athlete had his gold medal in snowboarding stripped when it revealed that he had THC in his blood system? Well, the answer is A, Ross Rebliati. Yep, Rebliati was the first person ever to win a Canadian gold medal for men's snowboarding. But after winning the gold, his test showed, yes, he had THC in his system, and he was automatically disqualified. The decision was eventually overturned because cannabis was not on the list of banned substances, and he was given his medal back. THC has since been listed by the World Anti-Doping Agency as a banned substance. And now Mr. Rebliati is getting into the cannabis business. So if you ever meet him, look closely at his front teeth. One has a gold crown embossed with his cannabis company, Ross's Gold.
In February.
Do you remember Ross Rebliati getting his medal taken away from him, then they give it back to him because cannabis wasn't on the banned substances list? Do you remember that?
No.
You don't?
No.
Well, I was asking you about what Canadian was involved in a scandal in the Olympics, and you said you had somebody in mind. And
I thought it was Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, wow. You know what? You know we're focused on cannabis around here, right, Ed?
hey, what was
Ben Johnson? That was a long time ago.
What was he focused on?
He was focused on winning the race.
No, but what was the drug he was taking?
It was some steroid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And something pan.
Anabolic steroids.
Something.
Marzipan.
Yeah, that's it.
That's almond paste. So he lost the medal for eating almond paste.
Yeah, he was addicted to marzipan.
Stencenol is suggested by the voice of God.
Well, you know what?
Oh, look, you don't even have.
I don't even have a voice.
How are you going to sound intelligent?
So I bumped into Ben. I bumped into Ben Johnson in a restaurant, in a bar.
You did?
Well, a restaurant would be a little bit. I'd be euphemistically speaking.
Yes.
And I said, Ben, you don't know me. He says, that's correct. I said, do you mind if I just feel your leg? Because I wanted to feel like he's the fastest man in the world, even though he was jacked up on whatever.
Marzipan.
It's like steel. I'm not kidding you. Like
really?
his leg.
You actually asked him if you could touch his leg?
I wanted to feel because this is the
I
fastest.
could see you doing that, Ed.
No, I don't give a shit.
In a restaurant.
I don't give a shit.
Hey, can I touch your leg? What are you?
Which one he said?
Pervert?
Which one?
Which one? So you did. You mean never?
And so then he said, "Do you want to see my girl of my dreams?" And I said, "Yeah." So he pulls out his. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to say this. Should I say it?
I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Ed. It
Okay,
sounds like a dirty joke.
No.
Well, come on. You started it. You can't not.
So
finish it.
Well, what if he's listening?
Well, you asked the guy if you mind if he touched his leg. Now you're worried that you're going to offend him if he's listening to your retelling of the story. Maybe he liked you touching his leg. Maybe he went to the other team just because you touched his leg.
He.
Did I take the wind out of your sails there or something? What happened to the rest of the story?
So he says, we started talking, and we're, and this is a guy who actually at the time ran the the fastest 100-meter ever, right?
Got it.
Right. You remember the race, right? Well, maybe you.
I don't really remember. I was smoking a lot of pot.
Yeah, he had a picture of this woman on his wallet, and he said, "I'm going to find this lady." Never met her. Yeah. But he saw a picture of her, and he was interested in meeting her. Hope his wife's not listening.
Maybe it is his wife. Maybe he married her.
Maybe he found her and married her.
Maybe. Boy, that's a tangent of the moment.
Anyway.
What?
So I thought that's who had the big scandal, but no.
No, well.
That's a bigger scandal.
There's scandals and there's non-scandals.
And there's sandals.
But, I mean, have you ever heard of a small scandal?
Wouldn't be a scandal.
Exactly. The word
that's what you're going to say, right? Yeah.
Implies big scandal.
Big, yeah.
It's like saying...
Old adage.
Old adage.
Yeah. An adage means an old...
Or
I think it's redundant. Is it a big scandal or a small scandal?
Boy, I'm just not that quick-witted today. You know why?
I know. You've been drinking.
I drank several bottles of wine last night.
Oh, yeah. Why am I not surprised?
I was out with the accountant. The accountant, he can put them away.
The accountant. You know what? That's a great name for him.
It is. The accountant. He's a bit of an ecclesiastical accountant.
He actually would look like if you dressed him up with the proper Catholic garb.
Like a pastor?
I'd say more like a bishop.
A bishop?
Like I'd give him the status of a bishop. He's got that little smirk, that little smirk. Not exactly.
He does look somewhat angelic, I'm going to say, even though.
Yeah, he just stares at you and he just smiles like.
Everybody's wondering who we're talking about, and I don't think that there's any chance we're going to put up a picture of him. So I think
no, we won't put a picture, but we can say this name.
I don't know if that would be
Cardinal.
Pull up.
Now we're getting some.
God is getting awfully bossy these days.
Okay, let's put up a chart.
Yeah, how about that?
Okay.
What are you going to put up a chart of, Ed? You know what I want you to put up a chart of? Boulevard, BLVD.
Okay.
Now, I want to talk about this company. I bought shares. I own like 900,000-ish that I bought out of the market over the last few days. And I had a lot more, but my trader accidentally sold a bunch of them. But
accidentally?
Accidentally. But anyways,
what, he hit the wrong button?
BLVD is the new guy.
CNX or CA?
CNX, Ed. BLVD CNX.
Yeah, you don't trade on the CA. You like that real...
CA, what's that? I don't even know what that is. Trade on the CA. You can trade on the CA?
it's pulled back here.
Oh, how's that?
Maybe time to step in.
Well, I was going to say I'm going to accumulate this because there's a new CEO. I did some background digging on the new CEO. This is a real guy.
I thought maybe you suggested that he just joined the board, but you're saying...
No, this other guy, so now they've announced a new CEO as well.
Uh-oh.
So new board member, new CEO, and this team is starting to look like cannabis industry A-team.
Yeah.
So don't forget, this company has a profitable addiction treatment business, and the plan is to marry...
Come on, you're telling me they're already profitable?
Yes.
Come on.
I'm not kidding.
You wouldn't bullshit me, would you?
I would, but not about this.
So let me ask you a question. Like the last question I asked you was, is my position secure here? Would you be bullshitting about that?
Somewhat.
Okay. Moving right along.
Anyways,
here we go.
Ed, we're going to step away from this inane conversation for a moment, and our daily "Did you know?" question is going to happen, and then we're going to talk to Alfred Wong, who's the CEO of Micron Waste. But did you know that criminals can be really stupid sometimes?
Duh.
Recreational cannabis might be legal now, but let's face it, it's been illegal in most parts of the world for as long as we can remember. In fact, in 2011, a police raid in San Diego, California netted 32 tons of marijuana worth roughly $65 million on the street. Now, the key to the smugglers' success, because that's a lot of marijuana, a tunnel that police found that was 600 yards long. The tunnel was so sophisticated, it had electric lighting, rail cars, and a working elevator. Police say it was clearly built by a criminal organization with some pretty big ambitions. They have no idea how long it was operating, but it was found thanks to a 6-month investigation. Drug dogs at a border checkpoint detected drugs on a transport truck, but the DEA decided to let it go through, tracing it to its destination, the start of the tunnel in a San Diego suburb. The warehouse on the Mexican side of the border was on the same block as the federal police station. Now that is pretty cheeky.
So I guess we'll find out more about that in a moment. But right now I'm joined by Alfred Wong, CEO of Micron Waste Technologies, trading on the CSE under the symbol MWM. Alfred, welcome back.
It's nice to be back.
You bet. Alfred, last time we spoke, the Micron Waste machine that digests cannabis waste after the growing process got a new name. It was now known as the Canivore.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, how many Canivores are out there dutifully gobbling up residue from growing operations in the cannabis space?
Well, right now we have our final validation process for the Canivore at Aurora Mountain, and right now it's planning to exceed our expectations. So we want to really roll that out to Aurora facilities and as well as other industry verticals. And I think what's really exciting about today is that we actually had announced that we received our biotech patent from the US. And that really is a critical moment for us because it really symbolizes and validates the process for us to treat high margin specialized waste. And it really is a perfect storm right now. We have tightening regulations on the discharge of pollutants. We have governments mandating the diversion of organic waste from landfills. And we also have corporate social responsibility. So companies like Aurora who are really driving the need for clean waste solutions.
Okay, so now the output from the Canivore is essentially water and some solids. Is the solids, I mean, have you been able to identify a value add product that the solids could be converted into at this point?
We've actually done quite extensive research looking at the nutrient contents of the waste that's generated from our system, and whether that's you're looking at nitrogen levels, potassium levels, phosphate levels. So there's actually quite a wide variety of different use cases for it. And right now, our plan for 2019 is really to identify the partners who are able to help us execute on those parts, because our focus is really on the technology to be able to denature the active pharmaceutical ingredients, as well as to make the water clean enough to discharge into municipal sewers.
Okay, so just to refresh the memory of our investor audience out there, how do the economics work for Micron Waste? What does the machine cost a user? How much does it cost to run? How does Micron Waste make money?
Right now, there's our first element is looking at the sale of our units or the rental costs, and when we kind of look at the potential revenue opportunities and looking at the current alternatives, which is purely just on the landfilling of cannabis waste, we're looking at a 20-30% profit margin for Micron. But I think what's really exciting about today, especially with our biotech patent, is that it actually opens up new revenue opportunities. And so 2019 is really a focus for us as a company to look at new industry verticals where we can take take our bioprocess and license it out to other verticals, whether it's your municipal-sized wastewater treatment plants or other industries such as your brewing companies, shipbuilding companies, other agriculture firms, and all of these industries have reached out to us in the past several months to ask us whether or not we could address their problems. And so this biotech patent that we announced today really symbolizes that yes, we can.
Okay, and what exactly is the nature of the biotech patent?
So just to recap, right? We actually have two patents received in the last 6 months, and this patent today is really the biggest one. So our first patent, which we received from Canada, is a Canadian industrial design patent for our digester.
Okay.
Our US patent covers our bioprocess, so the method of us treating the wastewater, as well as our bacteria components and enzymes to be able to treat the wastewater to a degree that is be able to discharge. And specifically for the cannabis industry, which is quite interesting for us, is being able to convert the water into clean drinkable water standards. Because when we recover the water to be reused back into agricultural operations, the water needs to be very, very high quality. So at this point, we're comfortable to say that based on independent lab results that we have, that we're now able to treat the water to clean drinkable standards.
And is the alternative that most LPs are currently using just to compost it in a landfill? Is that the only other option?
Right now, the option that most LPs are doing is really landfilling, mixing with kitty litter, adding water, in some cases adding bleach before sending it to landfills. And it's not really the most optimum way, because it's not just about the cost. It's also about the issue of potential propagation of the pharmaceutical ingredients, because while the stalks and leaves might not have that high amount of THC or CBD components, our system has really been optimized on the cases where there's a crop failure. So when there's buds that needs to be destroyed in a manner that meets ACMPR regulations and Health Canada regulations, it can pass through our system. We denature all the active pharmaceutical ingredients before discharging. So that protects our environments. And there's lots of research that shows that there are environmental impacts on the aquatic environment and the potential propagation of cannabinoids.
Really interesting. Okay, so then how soon is it, do you think, until there's broad uptake of this as the ultimate final phase in the life cycle of a marijuana plant by all of the LPs?
I think 2019 is going to be a great year for Micron. I think there's going to be, not in addition to the validation that we're going to be having in the next month or so, it really looking at the broader picture from a broader perspective, where governments are tightening regulations on the discharge of pollutants, being able to measure the impact of cannabinoid residues being discharged into the environment. And so both of these are driving forces for Micron to become an increasingly important role in the cannabis industry, as well as in the broader food waste industry.
Wow, interesting. That's great. Do you see that there's a potential for legislated use of this or regulatory imposition of rules to use this if it's if it solves these problems and the alternative is to risk contamination of groundwater, etc., then I don't see how it can go unregulated or unmandated to be used in the process, especially since the cannabis industry is about to become so huge.
There is, and we have been in several conversations with governments, municipalities, trying to look at the problem, because the cannabis industry and how it came to be legalized was, in many cases, rushed. And so a lot of work, which is work well granted, looking on the prevention of the propagation of cannabis to people that who don't want to be affected, like children, youth, and others. And so now is an opportunity. Now that cannabis legalization is coming to Canada, it's now an opportunity for the government to step back and say, okay, what other issues are going to be affecting Canadians today and Canadians tomorrow? And water and the protection of water resources and our environment is a key element to Canada. Yeah,
water scarcity and potable water, I guess, is increasingly in short supply as different industries compete for sources. Does the use of this machine in the sort of life cycle of the cannabis plant, does it add to the all-in cost per gram for an LP at the end of the day, or does it in fact subtract a bit because this is more efficient than landfilling?
it subtracts it. It's more efficient than landfilling because you have to also include the cost of labor, as well as the potential cost of fines and discharge of pollutants, because every municipality has sewer discharge standards. And so companies that exceed those standards, whether that's your cannabis companies or other food processing, distribution, agriculture companies, if they have a certain excess over the standards, then they have to start paying fines.
Right.
And so from our perspective is to look at minimizing transport costs, minimizing labor costs, and as well to really bring down the cost of administration. The biggest impact, I think, from Micron and how we bring value to our customers is really looking from the branding perspective. Companies with key corporate social responsibility goals, like Aurora, have clear idea of how they want to, what sort of company that they want to become.
Sure.
And so for them to focus on looking at how do we protect Canadians in terms of the environment, and looking at how we can leverage the technology that we have today to be able to protect the future generations, making sure that our water resources are protected.
Right. Okay, well, Alfred, that's a great update. We're going to leave it there for now and have you back again soon. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Coming up now, we're going to hear from another, I can't hear anything here actually. What am I doing next? Brexit is coming up next. Conor Shaw, when we come back.
So, it's been an interesting week in the UK. After months of negotiations with the EU, UK Prime Minister Theresa May finally presented a negotiated deal to Parliament, which, of course, sailed through, leaving the UK in a position to begin preparing to implement the terms of the deal in advance of March 29. Okay, so that's not right at all. It looks like it was actually the biggest defeat of a sitting government in the House of Commons for more than a century. Over 100 members of Theresa May's own party rebelled and voted to reject the deal, so that's not great. But luckily the government does have Plan B ready for the approval of Parliament that's sure to put an end to the crisis. So there's no Plan B. So what happens now? Jesus. After the devastating defeat for Theresa May, the opposition party tabled a motion of no confidence in her government, which was promptly defeated with MPs voting along party lines, with no rebels on either side this time. And now it's just kind of up in the air. Seriously, no one knows what's going to happen now. Will the UK even leave the EU? Will there be another referendum? Meanwhile, the man who called the referendum in the first place says he regrets nothing, like he's a fucking inspirational quote on your annoying friend's Instagram. And there are further talks happening inside of Number 10 as we speak, but the content of those discussions is all but a mystery at this point. I wish I had more for you. I really do. Back to the studio.
It's early tomorrow.
That Brexit thing is really quite the dog's breakfast, wouldn't you say? Who do you think looks more silly in this whole thing? The British who voted to leave, the British who voted to stay, or the European Union? I mean, who's really looking foolish?
You know, I've thought about this quite a bit. You know,
on the train, in the air, in the bathroom.
I kind of like the idea of them leaving.
What?
Yeah.
Well, what did they do to piss you off?
No, I kind of like, you know, like Britain is sort of
you're just one of those muckrakers who likes to see the whole European experiment undermined by
I get
nationalistic forces.
And I'm not
right wing, left wing,
informed well enough to really make a proper decision. But I kind of like to see, you know, like the pot being roiled.
I see.
And I don't mean ROYAL.
You're a shit disturber. You like to see
a shit
mixer.
Stir.
Shit stir.
Shit stir.
Watch that guy. He's going to stir up the shit.
Stir. He's a shit stir.
He's a shit stir.
Anyway, but no, really, the Europe's in I think there's some economic clouds heading over Europe right now.
Yeah, I think there's economic clouds about to engulf the planet, personally. Like, I mean,
This may be the first time we've ever agreed.
Really? You agree? Come Come on. So
you know what?
Here's my question for you, though. Now, is Brexit going to contribute and possibly even catalyze a broader recession throughout Europe that will ultimately infect North American markets?
Affect or infect?
Infect and affect.
Okay.
By infecting them. Affected.
So I'm so cynical. I think the only reason that Brussels wants Brexit not to happen is because they want the revenues that they get so that they can live this elitist lifestyle. That's what I think. Is that narrow thinking on is that a form of myopia? Myopia, not
it would be
Europia.
myopic if you refuse to consider other views and insisted on focusing your attention on that one possibility. But let's test that out, Ed. What do you think is going to change in the lifestyle of the governors and the presidents of the European Union if England leaves? Do you think any one of those guys is going to have to tighten their belt even by a millimeter?
No, not initially, but down the road, yes. I think, we could be heading for a little bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah?
Yeah, but we're prepared. You know why?
No.
Because we like gold. And
We like
gold has moved up.
I've got 5 ounces of gold.
Oh,
Just a
big.
quick question for God here. Afria.
You know what? I'm going to put my...
Oh, I see. I see. Afria conversion rate. Right. Yes, we'll get to that.
you know what? Soft.
Coming up.
Hey, what about this?
No. Pushing, going, coming, leaving.
Yeah,
So-
I hear you. I'm not sure. I just think that the world is better off more decentralized. Like, I think everybody should be allowed to figure out what they should do for themselves. In other words,
So would you call yourself an anti-globalist?
I think we're all people.
Boy, oh boy, there's a segue
Hey.
into meaninglessness. I would think we're all people. Really? I thought some of us were chimpanzees. I was quite certain of it.
We probably, some of us.
The more hirsute in particular. I mean, geez.
Yeah, the more.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like globalism, this idea of globalism, I think it's an agenda put forward by global corporate interests as they try to homogenize the market and eliminate borders for their own financial benefit.
I agree with you.
In the process of globalization, though, would you not agree that there is a homogenizing effect upon culture and institutions in national contexts that actually make the world a lot less interesting? So, for example, like, you used to go to France and you'd go and sit in a little French cafe
And it was unique.
at the side of the square, and it was a unique mom and pop place that was French owned and they served French food.
and-
Now you go and it's like the best locations in all the tourist zones is a Starbucks. So it's like, really, is globalization serving the needs of us humans and chimpanzees? Or is it actually making the world just a bit of an uglier place? That's a thought.
You know what? Let's just see what happens. But how's the pound? I should talk to our friend here, who's
the Brexit guy, Conor. Anyways, John Murphy.
Joe. No, that's Joe Murphy. J-O-H.
Jaw. Could be Jaw Murphy. Jawman. Jaw Murphy. Joe Murphy says, I watch you guys every day. Thanks for the interesting conversation. Thanks to Steve Meisner and his market input. The James and Ed show, good stuff. You guys keep it interesting.
Well, that's the kind of viewer we want.
That's right. He likes everybody.
You know what?
Steve Meisner is going to be guest hosting for me on this upcoming Monday. You'll be pleased to know, Joe, with Brandon Colwell from Follow the Money. That's going to be an interesting.
Who's going to be the host? Who's going to be the co-host?
I don't know. It's like, who's going to wear the pants in that relationship? Boy, we better watch it. Neither one of them will show up for that gig. We have too much fun.
Yeah, why would we wear pants? Nobody sees from here down, you know.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
Me either, Mike.
I know.
Commando?
It's nice and breezy.
Commando?
Yeah. Little just out in the wind there.
Little commando.
Yeah.
Big commando, little.
Whoa.
Slow down.
How did you become
Jesus.
big commando?
Jesus. Yeah.
Boy, oh
well,
boy.
I just
hold up your hand. Let's see who's got the biggest hands here. No, that's
Is that?
I think
I thought it was commando. Maybe it's commando.
Come Hando. Let's see how big your feet are, Ed. Oh, actually, no, I can see. Well, what is
they're
that?
pretty big.
Oh,
they're pretty big.
What, is that a
These
cocktail
boots are
sausage I
made
see
for
down
walking.
there?
No, that's a kielbasa.
Kielbasa. No, kielbasa is a big sausage.
Polski ogórki.
Polski ogórki.
Anyway.
That's what we're going to... You're going to change your name from Ed Milewski to Polski ogórki. Would you object to that? If you're lower
I already thought of that just to make it much clearer for everyone.
As some kind of warning. Well, why is he named Polski ogórki? And people just sort of go,
oh,
what do you
well,
think?
then somebody will say, hey, don't go there.
Exactly. Fraser is going to have a conversation right now with Koby Smutylo, who is the COO of Indiva, and he's feeling a little sour diesel over the lottery results. You notice a sour diesel? Sour diesel, a cannabis strain?
That name, by the way, there's a famous artist, an artist who does a lot of Mongolian art.
Yeah.
His name's Smutylo.
Really?
And
well,
that's not a common name.
No?
I'd like to know if there's a relation.
Well, let's let Fraser tell us.
Okay.
Hey! In this segment, we're joined by Koby Smutylo, who is the founder, one of the founders of Indiva. He's also the founder of Retail Go, which has its sights on retail cannabis in Ontario specifically. And Koby, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So if you don't mind, we'll just start off if you could talk about the association, if there is any, between Retail Go and Indiva.
Sure. Indiva is a licensed producer in London, Ontario. And Indiva started to looking at retail about 6 to 12 months ago. And then the government issued its rules regarding retail and indicated that licensed producers could only have a 9.9% interest in any retail business. So I set up a separate company called Retail Go, and Indiva is a 9.9% owner of that business. But that business is operated separately and has a separate strategy.
Okay, so let's dive into the whole what's transpired, the lottery situation, and kind of what you were expecting and how that may have changed in recent with the 25 lottery winners in Ontario. Sure,
it's quite a story, and I've lived it, and I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing it. Initially, the government put out statements and including written and oral statements to describe a process, and had released rules around what that process would look like. Retail Go, when those rules came out, started along the path of leasing locations and working with designers, security consultants, and other advisors to prepare for the submission of applications for its locations. We expected that to happen in, I think it was the 14th of December, when the applications were supposed to be open for acceptance. 2 days before that acceptance date, the government decided that instead of that merit-based logical process, it would run a lottery, and anybody, from college students to federal government employees could apply for this lottery, and the government would select 25 lucky folks to receive the opportunity to open cannabis dispensaries in Ontario. Now, what we've done is actually when the lottery came out, and we started getting calls from winners looking for help, because filling out the application process is incredibly simple. The initial step in order to qualify for the lottery, but the next step is daunting, and the process just gets more and more difficult as they get closer to actually receiving a retail operation license. So we've been contacted by lottery winners, and sort of trying to make the resources that we've assembled available to them to work with them to make sure that they are successful in the licensing and operation of their retail businesses.
So let me ask then, because the rules are sort of, you know, they're written to prevent people selling their golden tickets, right? So to what extent can you work with the winners, and is it clear to you and to everybody how you can work together and what the limitations are?
It isn't clear, and we've contacted the AGCO for clarity, and we haven't received a lot of information. We haven't received much information at all, but we're working to get clarity, and there are a lot of very talented legal minds focused on this issue right now, because we're not the only player that is contacting or in discussions with lottery winners to potentially partner with them. So what we've done is sort of thought of an arrangement that we believe is onside the rules, but obviously before we finalize anything with any lottery winner, we need to have it vetted by the AGCO. Last thing we want to do is jeopardize a lottery winner's chance to open a license and realize on this great opportunity.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it is a huge opportunity. It is actually kind of a golden ticket. I mean, to be one of the 25. Yet at the same time, you touched on it a little bit. It's not easy financially. It's not easy logistically. Because 60% of the winners or more were just individuals, right? So what do they have ahead of them in terms of obstacles to actually get this done? Is it even likely they could get it done?
I think it's going to be challenging. I would like to think that even if the individual is a college student or a machine shop mechanic or you know, it's possible, and I think there are a lot of good consultants in the industry. I think there are a lot of less good consultants, and I think that the navigating the good from the bad is going to be a real challenge. I think cost-wise, the expense of opening a location, we've obviously done a lot of work in terms of getting a handle on the costs, and I think you know, we're looking at about $1 million per location, roughly. To set it up, and getting a security plan, a point of sale system. There is a lot of work that's involved, but I think it's doable. I think one of the challenges the license winners will have is if the government, the AGCO, says that they're not allowed to partner with companies like us, is how are they going to raise the capital to open the location? Because, well, as you know, a lot of banks won't finance cannabis businesses or even do business with cannabis businesses. And then even if a bank that will do business, a bank that's going to lend money or finance a retail establishment is going to want to take security. And security is only good if you can realize on that security. And if the AGCO won't allow for transfer, then using the assets of the business as security isn't going to be effective. So there's some real challenges, but generally where there's big dollars at stake and a lot of talented minds focused, solutions will be found. So we're optimistic.
Yeah, is there some kind of line of communication to the government that is there as a resource where you can ask questions, or is it just sort of the information that's out in the public is all you have to go on?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's all we've got to go on, and we can call the AGCO and ask questions, and you can imagine the type of answers we're getting from their frontline folks.
Were you also surprised at well, first of all, it was a quick announcement that I think it threw everyone off guard when they announced the lottery process, but also just the time frame. Can you kind of talk about how long it took you and your team to kind of figure out how things would go, and if it's something that these winners have enough time to do?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it took us about 4 months to assemble all the pieces, and these winners have until April 25th to do that. So it's a challenge, and I think that's why it's attractive for them to potentially partner with Retail Go or another company that actually has all the pieces in place. You know, we've got lease locations, we have point of sale systems, security plans, building permits. We've got it all ready to go. It's just a matter of submitting it to the government for approval.
And as far as you know, with the whole lottery process, are they looking to just continue it this way, or at some point open it up more broadly and have? Do you have any sense of what's going on?
Oh, I wish I had a crystal ball, but even if I did, I'm not sure that the result would be what was projected based on this government's approach so far. What I would say is this: I think the government went the lottery route to try and avoid a situation. I think the result of the lottery is that they've created the situation that exactly the situation they were trying to avoid. I mean, what's happening is large U.S. and other producers are contacting the lottery winners and offering them very large dollar amounts. And what's going to happen is I think cannabis retail will be dominated by a few of these companies unless the government does change the process back to a more merit-based process. So I'm kind of optimistic. They might take a look and see that something needs to be done, but it's kind of anybody's guess.
In terms of sort of licensed producers, the thought was that they were going to be each allotted the ability to have retail stores. Is that still something that's going on, or and is there a number attached to that?
So licensed producers are allowed to have up to a 9.9% interest in a cannabis business. They are also allowed to open a store at their production facility. So Indiva is working with its architects and contractors to build a sort of a showcase of its products. And I imagine the other licensed producers are in the same process. Unfortunately, the government has, when it launched the lottery, it put that other system on hold, pending, I guess, further information from the government. So we're not exactly sure when the licensed producers will be allowed to open locations at their facilities. But obviously, that's something that producers are real keen to start. And Indiva's particularly interested because its facility is located in London, Ontario, and so it's actually a viable retail location. There's a Sam's Club right across the street, so if we can open a store there, that would be wonderful. And we believe that the supply issues that the government has cited for the reason for restricting licenses to 25. We believe there's more product available. It's more of a supply chain concern that the product is residing with the licensed producers and hasn't made it through the channels to the OCS. So I would expect that as the supply chain smooths itself out, the supply and more licenses will be available, including licensed producers will be allowed to open on their location.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, like, what's the holdup in not allowing an LP to sell their stuff? It's, I mean,
no,
maybe, is it? If you go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Oh well, what the system that's been created is clunky. I mean, the product has to flow from the producer to the government, and then from the government potentially back to the producer, which would be ridiculous, but or to the retail cannabis store. So what the motivation is, I imagine it's simply money, and unfortunately the consumer is gonna pay a higher price because of the layers. Not only do we have taxation, but we have a provincial government distributor who's going to take its piece before it gets passed through to the retail.
Okay, well, here's hoping for the best, and we'll like to keep tabs on what's going on, especially with Retail Go. So,
sure. And if you want, I'm monitoring the situation with the bidding that's going on for these licenses, so I could provide you with some information on the big dollars that are being paid at some point in the future.
Yeah, we'd love that. Koby, thanks for coming on, and we hope to hear back soon.
Thank you very much.
I got to say that Brexit or that lottery situation is pretty ill-conceived. I mean, you've got 3 months to basically find a location, make sure it's zoned properly, jump through all the hoops that a landlord's going to make you jump through because he's never had a cannabis store tenant before. And I can't see any A-level retail allowing cannabis when there's so much risk involved, especially knowing that these are lottery winners. These aren't seasoned retail.
Although the gentleman
operators
we spoke to was a businessman.
Well, he's a business guy. Yeah, okay, so that's great.
Maybe he's an exception.
But if you're going to make a lottery,
I know,
to open cannabis stores, then shouldn't you just allow anybody to open a cannabis store and let market forces decide who survives?
Well, listen, like
isn't that the democracy we're supposed to live in?
Yeah, anyway. That's why they say let the people that fail. Don't. No, too big to fail. Like, to your point.
No, I mean, it's like the first 25 people are almost guaranteed to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a couple of miracles out of the 25, but I think for the most part, the 25 lottery winners are really not in a good position to be opening a cannabis store wherever they are with all of the conditions set upon them by the Ontario government. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all going to be good. But I don't think so.
You know what?
Let's talk for a moment about Aurora, Ed. Like the negative fallout from the announcement today that they're going to raise another $250 million in a convertible debenture. The press release that I read didn't say anything about what the coupon rate was or what's the conversion rate, or
it's got to be somewhere.
Well, that's just it. I haven't been able to find it.
Money?
Mind you, tomorrow we're going to have Cam Batley here to tell us what's going on with this raise. It looks to me like a debenture that's due in 2024 is a pretty good plan for a unit holder, because it's, at the end of the day, it's not really dilutive. It's dilutive on the balance sheet. It's not dilutive in the float. So I'd prefer to see them do debentures than I would do, prefer to see that rather than see them do equity raise, because they're already got 1 billion shares.
But it's convertible. If it's convertible, and
in
ultimately
2024, though.
No, but they can convert at the discretion if the stock were to go up.
Well, that's just it. Those conditions are not. The normal conditions of a convertible debenture are not articulated in the press release, and I think that's what's caused the sell-off at the end of the day, Aurora. Okay, because everybody said, well, what the hell are the terms? Nobody knows what the terms are.
So let's just say, okay, let's say the conversion's $10, which would be a reasonable, 20%, and not 20% because we're at 9, maybe it's $11. But let's say, for argument's sake, $10, $250 million funding with a conversion at $10 would be, let's drop a zero off the 250, so another 25 million shares, correct?
Yeah.
So 25 million shares on $1 billion. What's up, Doc?
Fart in the wind. But I mean, as a shareholder, if you were owning Aurora when there were 400 shares out and you're still a holder at 1 billion shares, and you see this, you're probably thinking, that's it, I've had enough.
Yeah,
that's what I think the risk is.
But is not Aurora better off with the 250 cash than if it didn't have the cash?
Yeah, well, ask yourself this. If they're able to announce and close a $250 million debenture with a $37 million over allotment that fast, then what's not to like? So yeah, I think that personally, I think the dilution.
Can I ask you who's leading this little?
It's not articulated in the press release.
So sometimes can I just go to my little magic?
You can go anywhere you want, Edward.
All right, I'm going to go on. I'm not going to say, but I have a site that usually tells you this stuff.
Okay. Well, you let me know.
Okay. In the meantime,
why don't you go do that? And
yeah, maybe I'll come when I come back.
I'm going to have a conversation with a CEO of another company. Her name is Penny Green, and it's the company is Yield Growth Corp. The Yield Growth Corp is a cannabis asset growth corporation with assets in media, technology, and products. The company owns 100% of Urban Juve Provisions Inc., which has a catalog of over 50 cannabis sativa wellness formulas for body care, facial care, and other therapeutic products. Urban Juve has 26 products containing cannabis sativa, hemp oil, and has filed 11 provisional patent applications in the United States. Urban Juve's line of skincare products are sold in Canada with distribution agreements signed for the US and Italy. Welcome back. Penny Green joins me now. She's the CEO and chairman of the board of the Yield Growth Corp, trading on the CSE under the symbol BOSS. Penny, thank you for joining me today.
It is a pleasure to be here.
You bet. Tell me, what does Yield Growth Corporation do in the cannabis world?
Yield Growth is in a very exciting sector, one that people are just discovering exists, and that's cannabis topicals. So we have acquired a library of over 50 wellness formulas out of India from an Ayurvedic practitioner.
Oh, wow.
So our formulas are based on this ancient science that's been around for 5,000 years.
I have an Ayurvedic cookbook at home.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar with it.
Yes, I am.
Good. What dosha are you?
Well, yeah, you've exceeded my. It did say it opened the cookbook.
Yeah, so it's an ancient Indian medicine,
Right.
and it traditionally uses plant-based medicines, but it's always used cannabis. So if you go into the ancient texts, you'll find out there was a lot of remedies used, a lot of therapeutic benefits to
Right.
all parts of the cannabis plant. But it hasn't been available to us for the past 100 years because of prohibition.
No kidding.
So here we are, almost at the end of prohibition in Canada. As far as topicals go, we're not quite there, but we're very excited to be launching the hemp-based version of our products now. They're on the market through our subsidiary Urban Juve, and we're just getting into the THC and CBD versions that we're going to be launching in Oregon in a couple months.
Wow, very cool. I've been eagerly anticipating the introduction of topical creams and lotions and everything based on cannabinoids because the Rick Simpson oil, which are you familiar with that story?
That one I don't know.
So Rick Simpson was a guy who just created this oil concentrate and ended up treating his own melanoma topically, and it was extremely effective. In fact, he became totally cancer-free.
Yes.
And so that story and others like that make me really glad about cannabis deprohibition.
Absolutely. There's so much anecdotal evidence that topicals, meaning when you put cannabis on your skin, it can treat arthritis, it can treat chronic pain, and in some cases, it's been known to cure cancer.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me, the industry globally, like I'm surprised that L'Oreal or Estee Lauder or one of the big cosmetics company has not yet made any move into the cannabis space. Do you see the potential that your products and company could become a takeout target for the likes of them?
Absolutely. I mean, Estee Lauder does have one product on the market that contains hemp seed oil. So hemp seed oil's in a few cosmetics. It's been on the market for a while. But actually, the chairman of the board of Urban Juve and director of Yield is Tom Bond, who was the CFO and COO of MAC Cosmetics for about 8 years. Really, he was the acting CEO right up until when it got acquired by Estee Lauder. And in fact, he oversaw the negotiations and the complete transition of MAC Cosmetics, which is really one of the 3 top cosmetic brands in the world.
Right. Actually, I did see that. I actually know more about your company than I like to know before I interview somebody, because I bought 10,000 shares in the market because I looked at the chart and I was like, oh, there's one spiking. I went and looked at the company's website. I recognized your name. I remember I've seen you do great things in the market, and I was like, I'm just going to buy 10,000 of that just because Penny's involved. I'm going to see what she does with this. So so he's got deep industry experience in the cosmetic realm.
His cosmetic contacts are amazing, and he's really an operational guy. So although he's a director, he's very involved. He works with us 2 to 3 days a week. He really sits down with our entire executive team and makes sure that we're doing everything right to launch an international brand.
Wow. So you brought some samples there.
Yes.
What have you got?
So these samples are all manufactured. These are all available on our website. So we've got the anti-aging serum.
Oh, I'll take that for sure.
And all our products, here you you go.
Can
you
I
can have
just
it now.
bathe
Yeah,
in
just
it?
take it home.
Oh, fantastic.
Use it once a day, even twice a day. You put it underneath your moisturizer if you wear moisturizer. I've got moisturizers here too.
Yeah,
you don't look like you have dry skin.
I'm lucky
so.
if I comb my hair in the morning, believe me. Oh, that's a
So,
great packaging. Look at that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we get the packaging from Italy.
Oh, it smells lovely too.
The ingredients are from around the world. So if you look at the ingredients list here, very high quality ingredients, all natural, very high grade essential oils.
Oh, very cool.
And lots of them have various health benefits. Our secret ingredient, or our proprietary ingredient, is hemp root oil. So that ingredient doesn't actually exist in the marketplace until now. And it's been illegal in Canada until October of last year. So the Cannabis Act actually deregulated hemp root oil. Before that, it was a narcotic.
Really?
Yeah, and obviously
Even though it has no narcotic
it has no
capabilities.
no, absolutely, but it has a lot of therapeutic and health benefits. So we're just getting out to demonstrating what those are through working with various medical teams.
Sure.
But anyways, this product is exciting. People really love it. It's for sale on our website, and we're just launching in various retail outlets now in Ontario, BC, and Saskatchewan.
Okay, so does cannabis root oil contain CBD?
It doesn't.
It doesn't?
So we have no CBD and no THC in these products, which means we can sell them anywhere. So we're getting ready, and they just became legal under the Farm Bill in the US too, so it's great timing for us. It's very exciting.
Right.
And this is a new ingredient, so we filed about 11 patents over the extraction process that we use to create it, as well as various formulas. These products I've launched here are not therapeutic, they're more cosmetic.
Okay.
They're registered with Health Canada. We have also this lip balm, which I hope you can enjoy. It's a very moisturizing lip balm.
Okay.
I think it's the best on the market.
I can do that. I can wrap my head around
And
lip
it
balm.
retails for $10 to $15. And by the way, the anti-aging serum is $85, so it's reasonable prices for this kind of thing.
Wow. Urban Juve, where does the name come from?
Well, we actually started off with the name Juve, thinking jovial, rejuvenate, and
Juve.
yeah, exactly, from the song. Sure. And we hired this new in-house counsel who's fantastic, Amy, and she's from Aritzia, and she also worked at Skechers, so she had this big international experience with brands, and she said, have you heard of Juvederm? We said, somehow our trademark lawyers missed that search, and they said, you got to differentiate. So it took us about 4 months to come up with another name. We couldn't, and we realized we needed 2 names, because trademarking beauty products is very tough. They've reserved everything.
Yeah, well, it's really, I love what you've done with the packaging. It's really simple, and it's very attractive and elegant in a very simplistic way. These products, so you're building a beachhead of sort of market awareness with these products ahead of the legislation that's going to allow you to include THC and CBD once the mentality of governments catch up to the will of the people, so to speak. Yep. So these are going to be available. Is your strategy then to have these available in stores like Holt Renfrew and all of the big?
Exactly. Potential retail outlets we can work with would be Sephora, Shoppers Drug Mart, Holt Renfrew. Basically anybody can carry this product. And then the next launch of our products will have to be under a different brand because they'll be restricted by the marketing rules of cannabis, whereas Urban Juve is not.
Right.
And that next brand we're just developing now. We're going to launch it first in Oregon. We found a licensed producer there, so they've got a network of 400 retail stores, cannabis retail, so we can put the THC products into use. So all that will be happening before we go legal here. We've identified a micro license producer here in BC, it's in British Columbia actually. I know we're in Toronto now. But we've identified someone we can do the final testing with CBD and THC if we want in our products so that we're ready to launch in October.
Really? Wow. Well, I'm going to be a fan, I can tell you that. So how, do you think that the way the rules have been written for the elimination of any advertising for purveyors of cannabis products, do you think that that's, they've done a good job of that? And I mean, I know you might hesitate to criticize the government in that you're regulated by them now, but I mean, I just think that the rules are ridiculous because, for example, in alcohol, there's all kinds of alcohol advertising. We're practically inundated. I mean, life is a beer commercial for a lot of people. And so do you think it's fair and do you think it's going to last in this condition?
Well, I think it's a little bit overly restrictive. I mean, it's kind of a joke. You can't be glamorous, you can't be adventurous. You know, where do you draw the line? For topicals, it really should be a different set of rules. I mean, these are more medicinal. These are more therapeutic. So I think over time, the rules will change. At least I'm hoping they will, as is everyone else.
You bet. Okay, so what's the primary driver of shareholder value for the shareholders in Yield going to be in 2019?
Well, we're named Yield Growth for a reason. We intend to grow aggressively through acquisitions and through launching our products in various territories. So we've already done $2.5 million, $2.4 million on our books that's disclosed for revenue in licensing agreements. So we kind of look at the entire world as potential licensing revenues. So we're not discounting anywhere. We're already looking into getting our products registered through the entire European Union. We've signed distribution deals in the US. So we're really trying to be an international topicals company, and really with a $4.2 trillion wellness industry, I think we're well poised to shake it up.
Well, interesting. It's a fascinating story we're going to follow with interest. Penny, we'll leave it there for now. We're going to have you back repeatedly throughout the life of this company. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You bet. And coming up, we have Ed Milewski is going to join us again, and we're going to talk about this chart on Aurora, the end of day action here. Actually, first I'm going to start with the chart on the large cap cannabis index, which is clearly been drawn down. This is the intraday index, and you can see here at the end of the day it has taken a plunge, and we can probably attribute that plunge in large part to the action in Aurora.
Can I say something here?
Ed, you can say anything.
I saw the press release on a different website, and it went into some detail, and it said the terms of the debenture would be conveyed at a later time once they were agreed upon with the investors. So it looks like somebody specific is putting the money in, and but the terms
are still under discussion.
Does
that not put the company in a lesser negotiating position when it's made the announcement and the terms are still not determined? Don't you think that you'd want to have the terms known before you made the announcement, because now the investor can say
it certainly raises the specter.
Actually, Tilray did the same thing with their $450 million.
I don't think that's a problem. The fact is, someone's willing to put the money in, and maybe they're saying, well, you know what? Look, you just had a run in the stock. You're doing this, you're doing that. Maybe we'll do it, but maybe we'll wait and let the market determine what's more. And they said, okay, we're going to make the announcement. And again, I'm just throwing it out there.
So do you think the sell-off is a result of just a negative knee-jerk reaction on the part of retail, or do you think that is there any reason in your interpretation of the press release to change your outlook for Aurora's success down the road?
Well, depending on, I happen to think that this is a very volatile sector right now. We're going to have a month and a half of up, which we just basically had, and then maybe we're going to have a correction, and maybe
the market always corrects. Let's repeat that. Bob Farrell's rule number 7, I think, was markets always revert to the mean.
To the mean, yeah.
So this is certainly a steep.
If you look at weed, for instance, which is I would say it's the big boy.
Yes.
It's had
weed, Tilray, and Aurora, I think, would be uniformly categorized as the market bellwethers.
And Afria, to maybe a lesser degree, a little bit less.
I think Afria fell out of that running, personally.
Well, you know what? It's never filled the gap. That's a very bad thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so yeah, and I'm seeing a little short-term double top on weed. I like weed. I think they've been an unbelievable.
I love weed.
You know who loves weed? Aunt Tilly.
Aunt Tilly loves weed?
Yeah.
Who's Aunt Tilly?
Well, Aunt Tilly's an interesting character.
Okay.
She only likes certain things. Like, for instance, she loves weed.
But who the hell's Aunt Tilly?
Well,
I've never heard of Aunt Tilly.
Okay.
Is this somebody who works here that I don't know about?
For instance, she loves beer, but she doesn't like whiskey.
Okay, is this sounding like a song now?
No, it's not a song. You got to try to determine why she likes what she likes.
I see. Aunt Tilly.
Aunt Tilly.
Okay.
Aunt Tilly loves weed. She
Tilly
loves
loves-
beer, but not whiskey.
Aunt
She
Tilly
doesn't like
loves beer.
scotch.
She doesn't like.
She likes playing tennis, not golf.
Where are they coming up with this, Ed?
You're talking to the person that knows.
Are you Aunt Tilly?
No, I'm not Aunt Tilly.
Aunt Tilly is you and
But why
Brad.
does Aunt Tilly love beer and weed and not whiskey and rye? She likes glasses. Doesn't like pants. Doesn't like shirts.
I don't know. It sounds like some kind of word game.
It is.
I see. Is it maybe that she likes things that have two vowels side by side?
Well, actually, you know what? You're the only person that I'm going to give you a check mark on that, because Aunt Tilly likes anything that has two letters next to it that are the same. Tennis.
Yeah, well, that was the pattern I saw.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? I got to tell you, I've played this game with 100 people. No one gets it. Now I have to say only one person I know has got it.
And that was lucky.
No,
it was this lip balm that I did from
She
Penny
doesn't
Green's
like lip
company.
balm.
Well, obviously she doesn't,
like
but
lips,
I do.
But she likes asses.
Look at. She likes asses. Ooh.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to give you a little
fist bump.
Fist pump.
Fist bumps are for pussies.
Just like
chest bumps is where
you know what
it's
she like.
Belly buckers.
She doesn't like cats, but she likes
pussy. Oh, I get it. Aunt Tilly's on the team.
No, she. Look.
What? I think we better stop talking about Aunt Tilly now. We're breaking the audience joke here. I got some lubricant.
I got my own problems.
Oh,
what are you saying? What are you saying? I need a little lubricant?
You put your pants back on.
You got some lube?
Oh, that's a good point. You know, Ed, you haven't really given us your S&P takeaway today.
Okay, it continues to go, and every time it keeps moving, and you get that nice move, it gets more and more overbought. I was wrong yesterday. I'll be the first one to admit it.
What does the relative strength tell us about the S&P?
Let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm going to look too. I can't help myself.
Okay. You can't help yourself?
I can't help myself.
When you say, okay, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
This is a very philosophical question. When you say, I can't help myself, does that mean there's two of you or one of you?
One.
Well, there's the I, and there's the myself.
You can refer to yourself twice in one sentence, though.
Okay, but it seems to me there's a bit of a duplicitous connotation there.
You mean the sentence sounds like it's inferring
Like I can't,
a multiple?
like there's two people, I and the myself.
I think you're spending too much time looking at your belly button, Edward.
Well, it's a good thing I can see it. Some people can't see it.
You said I in one sentence 3 times there.
Ay, 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 ay.
Ay, 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 ay.
Okay, let's take a look at SPX.
I am the frito bandito. No. Okay, look at the SPX.
Okay, so I'm going to put up a 3-month because it.
Why was that spike in the SPX at?
Look
what time was it? Look at that at 1438 today. Look at that spike. What's that from?
Okay, so this is a 3-month chart. Again, Jesus. I know how to fix it. I know how to remedy this really fast. So,
so basically, it's another day of the S&P is all continuing.
Happy. But can I just make a point?
Sure.
When it was down here, when it was down in here.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many of my former colleagues? What colleagues?
People who won't talk to you anymore?
They'd say we're in big trouble. It's going to go lower. I said, gentlemen, the pessimism is so overwhelming. We're going to get a correction. And look. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 green candles. And if you take out those 2 red ones, you got 11, 12, 13, 14 out of 16 green. It's getting it again in rarefied. Look, we had 1, 2, 3.
So you're saying it's being overbought.
7, 8. Well, it's getting more overbought.
Would you say it's characterized yet by an irrational exuberance?
Well, let's see what.
Or market manipulation on the part of the President's Working Group on Capital Markets.
So did you see what happened today? I just read this on the news. I guess Pelosi wanted to take a military jet and go on some tour somewhere in the world. Yeah. And Trump said, ain't going to happen. So he prevented her from using military aircraft. So there is some real, partisan.
Oh, it's starting to get.
It's getting stupid.
Farcical. I mean, seriously, the government of the United States in the eyes of the rest of the world would be best characterized by one word, and that word is farce. And I would point out that that word farce has the word arse in it.
And it's also the first 3 letters of the word fart.
On that note, coming up tomorrow, we've got Cam Batley here to discuss the financing with us. Deepak Anand is going to be here to discuss the regulations. Jesse McConnell, CEO of Rubicon Organics, is going to be here. All tomorrow. Come back and watch, please. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when we hit the airwaves with more scintillating, intelligent analysis.
I want to carry on here. I don't want this to end.
You don't want to end? Well, let's go have a drink and you can keep talking to me and I'll be the audience.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. We'll see you later.